Hi friends, this is Talking Heads of Atascocita. My name is Amy Bridwell and I am so happy to, after this long hiatus, Msgr, I'm happy to be on the phone finally with Msgr James Golasinski. After not being on the air, Msgr, well, I say not being on the air, not being on Facebook and YouTube since March 10th. Msgr, how are you doing and where have you been?
Was it March 10th?
It was March 10th.
You're right. It was right before the Feast of St. Patrick.
Yes.
The week before the Feast of St. Patrick. That was what kind of, I don't know, set me off in a certain direction. But let's begin first in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
And direct us, O Lord, in all our actions that every work and prayer may begin with thee, and through thee be successfully completed through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
And St. John Paul II.
Pray for us.
He was the one who gave us, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
He was the one who gave us the encyclical, Evangelium Vitae,
Yes.
the Gospel of Life.
Yes.
And that's what had brought me back in contact with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, St. Patrick's Day celebration, it bugs me. It has been taken away from us. I mean, the spirit of the St. Patrick's Day celebration here in our country is antithetical to the real St. Patrick.
Yeah, it's been hijacked. It's been hijacked.
Yeah, look at some of the people who are now in the parade.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what really got to me when I started thinking about how Ireland, the people of Ireland voted to legalize abortion.
Yes,
It
sadly.
wasn't like the United States, where there were 7 guys in robes that did it.
Yeah.
I mean, if the people of Ireland, you know, land of my mother's ancestors,
Yeah.
they voted. And not only that, but many people from this country, and I suppose other countries, you know, expatriates, Irish diaspora, they went back to vote. And I got to thinking there, around St. Patrick's Day time, I said, how many of those people went back to Ireland to vote to legalize abortion who are now going to be celebrating this year's St. Patrick's Day? I mean, it's simply so schizophrenic.
Yes, it's so sad.
If you know the real St. Patrick was an extremely ascetical person. And there, you know, not many saints left us autobiographies. Of course, the greatest one of all is St. Augustine's Confessions.
Yes.
But St. Patrick left us a brief autobiography. I had a copy when I was younger. I haven't seen it. Probably one of my little lambs out there. Somebody borrowed it. I haven't gotten back yet.
Yes.
And then right after that, we have the dedication, supposedly according to Our Lady of Fatima, according, dedication of Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Well, I've considered it was already done because the country Russia is not the USSR.
Yes, it's not communist.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, one of the things that he talked about was Russia. I guess he wasn't using the term Russia because the USSR had not, the revolution hadn't taken place. The revolution took place 1 month later. And after the conclusion of the operation at Fatima. And anyway, one of the things he said, Russia would spread her errors in the world. What was the main error?
Godlessness.
Atheism.
Yes.
It was the first official atheistic state in the history of the human race.
Yes. Institutional atheism.
Yes. And today, I don't know, every week how many new churches are dedicated in Russia. They've on a building spree of building churches. And the military, the Russian military, like ours, has its own diocese. Now, we have an archbishop, of our military diocese. In fact, he visited Annunciation once. He preached at Annunciation once. But he has an office. They just last year dedicated this magnificent cathedral. You know, archdioceses have cathedrals.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that is the seat of the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
And our head of our military archdiocese, he doesn't have his own cathedral.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, they just built one,
Mm-hmm.
a magnificent one there in Washington. And
Mm-hmm.
guess who was present at the dedication? Putin was present at the dedication.
Huh. I did not know that.
I can just multiply all of these things. One of the things she said that nations would disappear. Well, I always talking about that, and in the past, I say, look what happened to Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia.
That's right.
They were gobbled up,
They sure were.
and they got free in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just cite one thing after another that made this era what I see has been more a case of sort of Russian expansionism. The Russians have been terribly expansionist.
Yes. Yes, they are.
You know, they made it all the way to Northern California.
No, I did not know that.
A lot of people probably have forgotten that we bought Alaska. I mean, you know, while the nations of Western Europe were getting in the boats and coming to the New World and going to Africa and to Asia, the Russians were going overland.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that. You're right, as usual.
Yeah, it really picked up speed under Peter the Great.
Mm-hmm.
And they reached the Pacific Ocean, and they crossed. And Alaska was colonized, and they were coming down the Pacific coast. In northern California, there is a river called the Russian River.
Huh. Mm-hmm.
And the reason why the Spaniards suddenly got busy and built those string of missions all the way up the California coast to the Bay Area was the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It hadn't been of importance to the Spaniards back in those days until the Russians were coming down that coast.
Yeah.
And so that's what caused them to get busy. And they were in Northern California, whereas the Spaniards, they stopped at, the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yes.
So anyway, the Russians have been so expansionist. They're always talking about people invading them. Well, how do they come to occupy 13 time zones? They were expansionists. But anyway, yesterday, of course, we had the story breaking about the theft of the draft from the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And I keep telling people, we're living in a dark age. This is just another example. This has never happened before. And anyway, that's what's kind of motivated me. Now, I'm going to talk about it over sort of a broad historical period to give a lot of our viewers some perspective of what's been going on. Now, I glanced at a lot of stuff on the internet yesterday, and there's one thing that I looked at hastily. The person is calling for Planned Parenthood and for NARAL to really get busy and during this crisis. Well, I don't know who it was that was making that call, but does that person realize that Planned Parenthood, namely Margaret Sanger, was pushing contraceptions so that there would be an alternative to abortion?
Right.
Did you know that?
I only know that because you told me, and I was surprised to learn it.
Everybody connects Margaret Sanger with abortion.
Yes.
Whereas the reason why she was pushing contraception, her organization was called the Birth Control League.
That's right.
And then there was a name change. I'm not sure when. But anyway, Margaret Sanger, he was trying to help women avoid abortion through spreading contraception. And then talking about NARAL. Now, that stood originally for National Abortion Repeal Action League. And it was started by some New Yorkers. The one who is most well-known of the group is, of course, Dr. Bernard Nathanson. Now, you saw him talk here in Houston
I never saw him talk, but I read his book. Wonderful book.
Which one did you read?
Silent Scream.
Oh, well, the first book he wrote was called Aborting America, in which he described how he and another fellow named Larry or Lawrence Lader, L-A-D-E-R, and also Betty Friedan had an important role, how they started NARAL. And both Lader and Betty Friedan, they had Marxist roots. Did you know that?
Yes.
I never knew that until I read a review of a book written by a biography written by an admirer of Betty Friedan, and in the review it mentioned that when she was young, she was a communist.
Yes.
And this other fellow, two of the three prominent ones, were Marxists. All three of them, by the way, were sort of secular Jews, not religious Jews like a lot of those in New York City. Like, there's this powerful pro-life rabbi in New York City.
Yes.
His name is Yehuda Levin. I heard him speak once at a March for Life in Washington, and he was hilarious. Clinton had just taken office, and he started telling the crowd there at the March for Life, at the rally before the march, the story of Moses, and how Pharaoh tried to eliminate all the little Jewish boys in Egypt, and so on and so forth. And anyway, he made Clinton into a modern Pharaoh. And from that time on, in his talk, if he was directing his message to Clinton, he would say, "Fair President Clinton." Fair President Clinton.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are those allies that we have. But on the other hand, the abortion movement was a conflict very much between that branch of Judaism and the Catholic Church.
Yes.
And Bernard Nathanson, for some reason, became the one that is most associated with NARAL. And anyway, in his book, Aborting America, he told about how the tactics they used. And this Larry Lader, he was one actually, way more powerful than Bernard Nathanson. In fact, Betty Friedan referred to him as the leader of the abortion movement here in this country, not Bernard Nathanson. I got that off of the internet earlier today. But anyway, he talked about how the secret to social change is to get the media involved. Well, how do you get the media involved? Well, the way to get the media involved was to get a controversy going.
Yeah.
And so what he did was, they did, and this is Later's idea more than Nathanson, they decided to make our bishops the bad guys. And there were two reasons. One is they were all male. And secondly, remember this period we're talking about, it was during the Vietnam War.
Yes.
The Supreme Court decision came the year that we withdrew from Vietnam, 1973.
Yes.
And our bishops never turned against the war in Vietnam. And so our bishops were already under attack for that reason. And so they said they didn't choose the Catholic Church because they wanted not to make enemies of liberal Catholics. Because they were hoping that liberal Catholics would come over to their side, of which there have been far too many, and particularly those in public office. And so that is the history. That is the history of Planned Parenthood and NARAL.
Yes.
Now, after the Supreme Court decision, then they changed the acronym. Before it was the National
National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws from
Right.
1973 that was from 1969 to 1973, and then, like you said, they changed it to National Abortion Rights Action League.
Yeah. So the repeal was accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So they then just attach different words to the words of the what is it, acronym?
Yes.
So that's how this all got started.
Mm-hmm.
It got started. I mean, the action got started. It was this conflict
Mm-hmm.
between these two groups.
Mm-hmm. Yes. A godless group, an atheistic group against this Catholic group.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, let's go to 1976.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what POAU referred to?
I have no idea.
Protestants and Other Americans United for the Separation of Church and State.
Oh, my goodness. Mm-hmm.
It was started by a former Protestant minister. He was very, very, very anti-Catholic. He was fearful of growing political power
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the 20th century. And anyway, when I was at Catholic U, one of the librarians told me he'd come poking around in our library, Catholic U, hoping to find something they could use against us.
Mm.
I remember, she said, he looks like a very unhappy man.
Well, people without God usually are.
But he was in enemy territory too.
Yes.
I never was able to be there at the same time and get a glimpse of it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, by the 1970s, there was a name change. The P got dropped.
Okay.
The PO, Protestants and Other Americans.
It just became
It just
Americans.
simply became Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. And the reason was that he was succeeded by a man named Leo Pfeffer, who was Jewish.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why the organization name change occurred.
Yes.
And anyway, in 1976, at the time of our bicentennial, he was invited to give a talk to a group in Philadelphia.
Leo Pfeffer?
That's right.
Okay.
It was this organization was having a banquet as part of the bicentennial celebration, and they invited him to come and to be the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was, he said to the people that our morality here in the United States, it was established by Protestantism in the 19th century, right? 18th, 19th century.
Yes.
But then we get into the 20th century, and it was losing its vigor.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say anything, but I suspect what happened was it was evolution.
Mm-hmm.
I think evolution really, really damaged Protestantism because it seemed to disprove the Bible.
Mm-hmm. And
did you ever see that movie, Inherit the Wind, about the Scopes trial?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Anyway, it seems Darwin had shown that the Bible was not trustworthy. Well, that has a terrible effect upon a lot of Protestantism, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why this vigor waned. And what this fellow Leo Pfeffer said was that there was a vacuum then as to who was going to be influential as regards, so to speak, the public morality of the United States. And there was a contention, he said, between us Jews and the Catholic Church.
The secular Jews, yes.
We were trying. That's right, huh? We were trying to uphold and maintain and defend that culture that we had inherited from Protestantism. But Leo Pfeffer said, we won.
Yeah.
Now, this was 3 years after Roe versus Wade.
1976. 1976.
Yeah, it was a bicentennial event there in Philadelphia. Now, what do we have going on now? That sounds stupid. Now, what do we have going on now? Little redundancy.
We've got
But it's going on now.
Yes.
For example, when Kavanaugh was nominated for the Supreme Court, the driving force about trying to discredit him and keep him off the court, it centered with Senator, what's her name? The elderly senator out in California.
Dianne Feinstein.
Yes, Dianne Feinstein. This woman who got into the picture, she wrote a letter.
Yeah, I remember that.
To Dianne Feinstein. And it wasn't acted upon immediately. It was held in reserve. She turned it over to a couple of her accomplices, two lawyers.
Yes.
And then it became clear that it looked like Kavanaugh was going to clear the Judicial Committee. Then it was pulled out. And we won that battle. No, the Kavanaugh went on the court.
Yes.
Now, recently, I can't remember exactly when, and I don't remember the event, but Chuck Schumer, the Senate leader, I can't remember what the event was, and he was on the steps of the Supreme Court warning the Supreme Court. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Remember the words that he said?
No.
He said, "You're sowing the wind, and you will reap the whirlwind."
Yeah.
That was the words of threat.
Yes.
That he used. And immediately he's been all over the media. And he's the one that's leading this movement
to codify
pass a national law.
Yeah, to codify Roe. Yes.
Yeah. So you see, this battle, this cultural, religious, moral battle has been going on.
Yes.
The two sides. So I thought it'd be interesting, to bring that to the attention of people.
Yes. Yes, because we're all going to die. So I just told my kids after our prayers, we're all going to die. We want to die a friend of God and recognize this truth. I mean, we've been pretending that we don't know what a baby is. So we've institutionalized that we really don't know what a baby is in the womb. So if we can do that, we can pretend anything, right? We can pretend we don't know what a woman is. We can't pretend we don't know what marriage is. The snowball is massive, and we're all going to die.
However, we have a new term come into popularity.
That is?
Came out of Hollywood, as near as I can tell.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Baby bump.
Well, I've had a few of those. Yes. Not a clump of cells bump. Not a fetus bump.
Stop and look.
Yes.
When they want to have a little cutesy description,
yes,
the word baby gets into it. They don't say a fetal front.
That's right.
Using a little alliteration.
Yes.
Fetal and front.
You're so fun. I like that.
There's a bump there. Now, what are we going to use for alliteration?
No, baby bump. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so fun. I like fetal front, though. I'm going to put fetal front on a T-shirt. If only I were young enough to wear it. Oh, how fun. The fetal front. Monsignor, you're so fun.
Reality has a way of crashing through.
You try to pretend, you try to break those laws of gravity, and you end up proving them, right? Yes.
Well, I'm starting to think we're living in Wonderland.
Yes. Oh, you're right.
Things are what people call them. Remember Alice in Wonderland?
Yes.
Words mean what I want them to mean, or whatever that quotation is.
Yes.
I give them names, and so that's what they are. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yes.
A man, after 40 years, decides to call himself a woman.
Yes.
That's Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, it is.
So I've been talking about, we've been living in a dark age. maybe we should say AKA Wonderland.
Amen. I know they remade Wonderland recently. I don't know how many years ago, but the song that accompanied that movie, I'm going to read just one part of the song because she refers to this colorful charade, Monsignor. All this pretending, all of it is a charade. She says, this is Pink, and I like the tune on this song. I'm embarrassed to say, but anyway, she says, just like fire burning up the way, I can light the world up for just one day. Watch this madness, colorful charade. No one can be just like me anyway. Just like magic, I'll be flying free. I'ma disappear when they come for me. Yes, we're living in Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there are crucial results in our Wonderland.
Deadly consequences. Sad and deadly consequences. And I love all my people. I don't want anybody to die. And I love the other people's people too, but they don't like us.
Well, what I'm trying to do with some of these programs is to cause a lot of our Catholics to appreciate, appreciate the faith.
Yes, thanks be to God. Yes.
Because so often we don't understand the value because there's all this other negativity directed at us.
That's right. That's right.
Well, greetings to all of you who are still with us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And hopefully we will continue to be with you regularly. I think got some interesting talks coming up soon.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Wonderful.
I've been kind of bubbling, like something on the stove that's under low heat.
You're simmering. Something simmering. Something simmering on the pot. Very nice. Very nice.
And it's ready to be taken out of the pot.
Good. Very good.
So, fear not, little flock. It is pleased your Father to give you the kingdom.
No cross, no crown. I hope to see you all very, very soon, friends. Bye-bye.